L'amore conquista tutto. L'amore conquista tutto.
What better way to start episode 38 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast? And that little snippet was the beginning of a new song that's been released by my co-host. And I'll introduce him, and then we might have a little bit of a chat around some of the new music that he's been putting out. He's from the home of the best Chinese restaurant in Adelaide, with decades of awards. They're known for their decades of awards and cheap local eats. Ying Chow in Gouger Street, Adelaide. Yes. Please welcome Tave Bragg or Braggy.
Oh, Curly, I finally know somewhere. I've been to Ying Chow so many times. That is the best Chinese restaurant in Adelaide for sure.
That's what they're known for. So the best Chinese. I love that. I love businesses that can be really confident about who they are. Decades of awards, cheap local eats. Mate, is how they promote themselves.
It's BYO. A lot of times, if you go there, you'll find a lot of people from the wine industry there, and they might be just after vintage, and they'll all be sitting around the different tables, and they'll bring their new wine in, and then they pass it across. Oh, this is our new thing from this year, try this, and this is, and it's just, it's a great place. Just don't, I won't say that. I won't diss it.
No, I'm sure that there's some little idiosyncrasies. Yeah. Hey, you've been busy, you've released some new songs. You want a quick little chat about them before we get into some foreign music? I thought that was a classic lead-in, because that's, I don't know what language that you started that song with.
That's Italian, and it's not actually me. That's Italian for Love Conquers All, and that is just Siri Google Translate. So I just...
Oh, truly?
Yeah, I just typed in Love Conquers All, because it's a Roman or Latin saying, and then you can get Siri to say it in Italian for you, and I just held the phone up to the mic and recorded that, like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's Love Conquers All. What else did you release?
There's another one that I released as well. I've had a bunch of these dance ones, which none of my bandmates seem to want to do, but well, they kind of. It's just I just have these songs sitting there, so I thought I'd get them out. I'm trying to write songs that my wife and my daughter would like. That's all I want to please. That's all. That's it. Yeah, and maybe your wife.
Yeah.
So I just need to get them out there.
Well, as you know, my wife puts them on a running list, and away she goes.
Well, they've got that tempo, Tony, about 100, 110 beats per minute, which is a perfect running thing for me.
It's a good backdrop to exercise. Yes. So, personally, I love the song. So
thanks, mate.
And where can you find them?
You can find them on Spotify. You can find them on Apple Music. You can find them on YouTube and a million other places.
Yeah, and I've added all of them to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist on Spotify.
If you go on Spotify, follow me, and like the song, and then because I get 0.0043 of a cent per stream, so I'm saving up to buy a carton of beer.
Absolutely, and just before we kick off, because I'm really interested in tonight the foreign non-English protest songs, and you made an observation during the week that most protest songs are in English because they do want to try and get as bigger audience as they possibly can. But I was thinking during the week, Braggy, that there's a couple of things that have. I'm really grateful for what we do on this podcast, because every week I learn so much, and two things came together during the week, and one was when we spoke with Sean from the Ritzy Kids, and Sean was talking about songs and how he plays them acoustically, because they've got to stand up acoustically before he starts to blend them in and go through and record them. But then over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about the drummers. Yeah. And the drumming adds that primal beat and almost completes the song.
Yes.
So So the song's got to stand up acoustically, and then the drums have to add that beat that sort of finishes the songs off.
Yes, not always. Some songs there's no drums, but it depends on what you're going for. But yeah,
Yeah, Sunday session song.
I always like a bit of rhythm there.
Yeah, true. So, but it's interesting because as you start to learn more about how songs are formed and how they're formulated and how they're ultimately played, and even as we talked last week, the different drummers put on different attitude to the
Yeah,
song.
it was amazing last week, wasn't it? With that jazz guy, I was really into him and how he just, played along, and like the way Sam explained it, how every time with jazz guys, the song's different, so it's like a different portrait of the song every time. It's slightly, you mightn't hear it yourself, but the musicians, so you got to be on your toes. And then you got the other guys that are just in there to be the engine, like Dave Grohl, and drive that beat, so you feel something.
And just professional to the end.
Yep.
And David Grohl was just sensational. He'd do his little bit during the chorus, and he'd ramp up the drums, and then straight on the beat again. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, he's a great musician.
So, how have you found doing the research around what
Well, like
we're
you
doing
said,
tonight?
I struggled a little because a lot of the protest songs are in English. Even if you go to another country where they don't speak English, they'll sing, because English is so prominent, especially in popular music. They'll sing it in English too, and then a lot of times, it's the oppressors are the English speakers, so that's the message they want to get to the people, So, but I have found 5, I think, really different songs from 5 different countries.
Excellent.
So,
So, where are we kicking
well,
off? Which one do you want?
We're going to start with the song that was a one-hit wonder in the Western world, but it was not a one-hit wonder for this lady in Germany. She's from Germany. It's a song that you and I will remember, Tony, because it's right now middle of our era. And it's 99 Luftballons, which means 99 red balloons. And the song, it's about 2 things. It's the 80s, so we've got nuclear proliferation. The Russians and the Americans are constantly building more and more and more and more nuclear weapons. So the song is kind of about, she lets these balloons go, and the Russians pick them up on the radar, and the West picks them up on the radar, and they both engage the jets. And so she's just showing how easy it could be for something to start over, something so innocent like a balloon. But also, the song goes out to, each red balloon is a dream of the people the German people after World War II, the innocent German people after World War II. They all weren't Nazis, who suffered greatly during the war and after the war. So it's about those 3 songs.
Okay.
Those two topics.
Let's put it on.
Other hits before this one, I think. I don't know if she had any after. I didn't really go that deep into the research.
Yeah. And a bit of a one-hit wonder here in I guess the Western world. But even like, I can remember, what year was that?
I think it's pretty early. I think it's about 81, 82. I didn't write the year down, sorry.
Because I reckon I was at school when that came out, and I had friends in my or people in my grade that were saying, there's always people that say the live version's better or this version's better, and I'm sure that there were kids saying that the German version is so much better. Yeah. So.
Of course, if you're going to write a song in one language, it's never really going to translate.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great start.
Like that one?
So, but isn't it such a fluid sort of a language? Even though I've got no idea of what she's saying, you can still bop along. You can still get the gist of the words, I guess.
It can be an aggressive sounding language, German, don't you think? But it's got some really cool words in it. I know.
Yeah, some consonants and vowels there, like everything else. But interesting. Okay, great start. What's next?
Well, we're going to go to France now. Well, actually, Belgium. We're going to go to. And this is a guy called Stromae, and I'll tell you the story about this. Well, I'll tell the story. Yeah, I'll tell the story before.
Yeah, tell me a little bit while I tee it up.
So this song's called Papa Hute, which means like my papa. Where's my papa? And he was half Rwandan and half Belgian, this guy. So his father was Rwandan, his mother was a Belgian lady. And it's a song's about him growing up without his father. But the reason and his mother didn't tell him, he wondered where his father was, and his mother didn't tell him. But his father was in Rwanda, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the Rwandan genocide, which happened. Yeah. It was atrocious. I mean, I read some statistics here. So it was between the Hutus and the Tutsis. So it's two religious factions, right?
Yeah.
And the Hutus were, if I'm pronouncing that properly, were the majority, and the Tutsis were the minority. And the Hutus killed 800,000 people in 100 days.
Oh my God!
And this guy's father was one of them. And his mum didn't tell him for ages, and eventually he realised why his father was not coming home. So he kind of figured it out for himself. And the song is a really poppy song. You're not going to think it's such a sad protest song. He's singing about, where's my dad, And one of the things he says is that, how am I going to learn to be a dad if I can't learn from my dad? So it's a sad song. But it's you're going to love this clip. It's a really cool clip.
And just for those people playing along at home, in the words of Sam Marshall, those playing along at home, we will have the links to all of these songs on YouTube, so you will be able to get the English translation on most of them. So the way that we embed the videos for the show doesn't allow that translation.
I haven't. Yeah, this one, obviously, you're not going to really need to know what he's saying here. You'll figure this out pretty simply from the clip.
All right.
Dites-moi d'où il vient, enfin je saurai où je vais. Maman dit que lorsqu'on cherche bien, on finit toujours par trouver. Elle dit qu'il n'est jamais très loin, qu'il part très souvent travailler. Maman dit travailler c'est bien, bien mieux qu'être mal accompagné. Pas vrai? Où est ton papa? Dis-moi où est ton papa? Sans même devoir lui parler, il sait ce qui ne va pas. Ah sacré papa, dis-moi où es-tu caché? Ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois que j'ai compté mes doigts. Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es? Où papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es? Où papa, où t'es? Quoi, qu'on y croit ou pas, il y aura bien un jour où on n'y croira plus. Un jour ou l'autre, on sera tous papa, et d'un jour à l'autre, on aura disparu. Serons-nous détestables? Serons-nous admirables? Des géniteurs ou des génies? Dites-nous qui donne naissance aux irresponsables, hein? Dites-nous qui? Tiens, tout le monde sait comment on fait des bébés, mais personne sait comment on fait des papas. Monsieur, je sais tout, on aurait hérité, c'est ça. Faut le sucer de son pouce ou quoi? Dites-nous où c'est caché, ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois qu'on a bouffé nos doigts. Hey. Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es? Où papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es? Où papa, où t'es?
I see what you're saying about the poppiness of the song.
Yeah, it's poppy, huh?
That's fascinating,
a little
isn't it?
disturbing in a way, because his father's not there. His father's just a dummy.
Yeah. It's and you could almost start singing along with it. That chorus a little bit.
Absolutely, it's a great pop song. It's ones you don't hear though in the Western world much, do you? He's got some other great songs too. I've went down a bit of a rabbit hole. It's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And once again, you look at that film clip and it's showing a completely different style of culture to what we're used to. But it felt so like, what's the word? It felt like a Western culture, but smaller, if that makes any sense, and so much more colourful.
Yes.
Yeah,
For sure.
so...
Correct.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
Great
That was
little
a different
song.
one. It's a cool one. Okay, we're going to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. You set the pace
We're
tonight.
going to go to, I mean, if you're going to talk about people protesting and there being violence and upheaval and troubles, then you've got to go to the Irish, right?
Okay.
So I could not have this fight without a rebel song in there. But most of the rebel songs are in English. You know, U2 wrote heaps of them. And so I found this one. It's an old folk song. And there's a bit of a story behind this. No one really, like any old folk song, like Waltzing Matilda, no one ever really knows the origins of it, how it all started. And sometimes it gets changed through the centuries. And this song goes right back. No one's really sure. They think it could be about, I think they used to originally sing it about bringing the wife home after she was married. Apparently she would, after a month, it took a month after they were married before the wife would be allowed to come back and live with the husband back in the day in Ireland.
Oh, truly?
Apparently. So it was a song about that, but over the time it's got changed. And when the real troubles were happening in the early part of the 20th century in Ireland, one of the poets, the nationalist Irish poets, changed a few of the words, and it became, they used to sing it in the Easter Uprising about the English. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's telling the English to piss off, basically, out of Ireland. And it's Sinead O'Connor singing this one. So it's from around the 80s and 90s, I guess, because she's not with us anymore, is she? But she's got such a passionate Irish woman. So it's a beautiful song, beautiful old tune.
So what?
So I don't know if you...
language?
Oh, that's singing in Gaelic, Tony. singing Gaelic.
Okay.
So I don't know if you noticed, a lot of those old songs all had the same melody. So, and they would like, do you notice that that's like, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall? And there's probably another 3 or 4 songs that it's similar to. But
interesting, and once again, you know, being in Australia, you just think the Irish speak English, and it's a very accent-based English. But then to hear that Gaelic language,
I don't know if you have any Irish friends. A lot of them have names that sound completely different to how they seem to be written in English.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah. And I suppose then you've got the Welsh, haven't you, that has another dialect altogether.
I know. And even the Scottish. Sometimes the Scottish can speak English, but you still can't understand them. They're really broad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
even some people in England, their accents are so strong. You think, what?
But that was beautiful.
Yeah, so they would sing that when they would march into battle or march into, sing it loud as they would march into battle. But it goes right back, to the 1500s, 1600s, the Jacobite revolution or whatever they called it.
Yeah. One of the interesting things, and you got me doing a little bit of research during the week as well, just about, because I'm intrigued by places like, you know, the communist bloc countries. You know, we've got China, for example, and I'd be, I couldn't necessarily find anything around any sort of songs that were created by Chinese artists anyway, around things like the Tiananmen Square, all that sort of stuff.
You'd think they'd have to be there, though, wouldn't you?
There's got to be somewhere, but I guess also the risk of doing that is really huge.
Yeah, you'd start not seen again.
Yeah. So, but one of the interesting things that I picked up was, I'll wait till you finish.
No, you tell me.
Well, even Japan, right? So I was, Japan is a very compliance-based culture. Mm-hmm. They're very traditional. They're very compliance. But if you went into a sex shop in Japan, and you know, I did. You would know that behind closed doors, they are really quite a different. They are a different body of people, mate, but they're very compliance driven, right? So, and I remembered reading, you know, about the Japanese punk movement because you would not picture punk having. Getting legs in Japan, but it still does, and it still does to this day. And one of the more recent protest songs that came out of Japan, for example, was from a band called the Flying Dutchman,
right?
Who are from Kyoto, and they became more well known after the Fukushima
the nuclear meltdown.
Yeah, and there's a video on YouTube, and it's 19 minutes long, and it's effectively a rant. It's a poetic rant to music, and it's just very intriguing to watch. And one of the things that I read up about it was that a year on from Fukushima, and the song's called Human Error, Human Error, and a year on from that particular anniversary, they wanted to get 100,000 people to register to play that particular 19-minute rant on sound systems right across Japan. And they got 67,000. Wow. So they didn't quite hit their mark, but they had 67,000 people register a year on, which was, I think, 2012. So really interesting that such a compliance-based culture still has that element of protesting.
Yeah, and Japan, like you say, they'll take something from the West, like punk, and then they just do it a whole other level, whole other full on. Not punk music, but other things, you know. Might be sneaker culture or, you know, I don't know, something else. They just go... Anime. You go watch the baseball when they play baseball, they're just full on. You know,
Look what they've done with rugby union. So.
Yeah, they love it, and they just they turn out of their thousands to support it. So, Yeah, you're right. You're right about
Yeah.
that. Now, we're going to move off. You want to know where it's scary to write a protest song?
Where is it scary?
In Russia. Okay?
Yeah, and I could imagine.
So, some of the listeners or viewers might have heard of this band. They're called Pussy Riot. They're a all-girl band
Great
from
name.
Russia. I think they actually live in America now because I don't think it's safe for them to be in Russia. But you want to fucking talk about balls, man. So this clip you're going to see next. This is a song, and it's called Putin Will Teach You How to Love. And this clip they filmed just after they'd got out of the freaking gulag for something else. They went straight back, put the things over their heads, and they were protesting for the Sochi Winter Games in Russia. They protested right out in front of the Winter Olympic Stadium. And
so when you say things over their heads, that was to keep their anonymity?
Oh, well, they're supposed to be, but everyone knows everyone knows Pussy Riot. So they filmed themselves going there protesting, and this song is played over the top of this footage, and it's sung in Russian, and they're protesting just political freedom, LGBT rights, and basically the Russian police, or the Cossacks as they're known, come out and fucking beat them up. It's a confronting clip. Have a look.
дождя перекрыт эфир. Гей-прайд отправлен в сортир. Двухочковый туалет приоритет. Приговор России, режим общий 6 лет. Путин научит тебя любить Родину. 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 Родину, 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 Родину.
Oh, now that's freaking a protest, man.
Mate, mate, that's amazing.
I know, right?
So they're now living in
I
America.
think so. They're pretty sure they're in America. They've got some other songs out that are later. Yeah, it seems to be much more peaceful.
Mate, that is what you call living your protest and really taking the risk, isn't it? So
You've got to admire people like that around the world that stand up to that. That takes a lot of guts. And that's why I always admire, some people mightn't like to see people out there protesting. It might disrupt the streets, but they're out there doing it for something they believe in. And whether you believe in what they believe in or not, at least they're out there doing something about it. They're not just sitting at home being a keyboard warrior.
And in the case of that particular country, doing it at the absolute risk of death. ultimately you could be put in the car and never seen again.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
And I guess one of the big things in the Western world is that we don't have that level of risk when it comes to protests. Yes, we might.
You might spend
see
a night
some-
in the jail, but you'll come out again.
You're coming home.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mate, that's amazing. Yeah. And once again, it wasn't a bad little song.
Loved it.
I had no idea what they were singing about. But
you got the Putin
groovy,
part. So the song's called "Putin Will Teach You How to Love." So, I think you hear that Putin in there, but I don't know the rest of the words. But obviously, that's the chorus. But yeah, it's not a bad punk song. I reckon it's cool.
Mate, that's a classic. Well done. So you've got one more?
I've got one more, and this is a little different. So this is a song from South America, and it's a group of women wrote a song protesting against how the judicial system, I think it's from Chile. I don't want to get this wrong. I think that's the South American country.
Check with your notes. Go on.
I didn't write it down.
You'd have notes
I do
somewhere
have my
knowing
notes.
you.
But the song's called "There's a rapist is in your path, and the rapist is you," and it's just protesting against the judicial system and how they, especially in some of those other countries, and even in our country, will always take the man's word over the girl's word or the woman's word. So it's the YouTube movement. It's a little bit close to my heart. All these songs like this, as you'll know, and what happened was that all the women around the world took this song on and just sang it in their own language. This clip just shows the girls from South America singing it as like a flash mob out in front of the courts there.
Yeah.
But you can go on YouTube, if people want to go on YouTube, and see the French women all doing the same thing but singing it in French. The German women doing it, just because women are oppressed all around the world in a lot of ways. They get the arse raw end of the stick. So I finished with this one because it's in all languages, mate.
Okay, excellent. Well, you've got me intrigued.
El patriarcado es un juez que nos juzga por nacer y nuestro castigo es la violencia que no ves. El patriarcado es un juez que nos juzga por nacer y nuestro castigo es la violencia que ya ves. El femicidio. Impunidad para mi asesino. Es la desaparición. Es la violación. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. El violador eras tú. El violador eres tú. Son los pacos. Los jueces. El Estado. El presidente. El Estado opresor es un macho violador. El Estado opresor es un macho violador. El violador eras tú. El violador eres tú. Duerme tranquila, niña inocente, sin preocuparte del bandolero, que por tus sueños, dulce y sonriente, ven a tu amable carabinero. El violador eres tú. El violador eres tú. El violador eres tú. El violador eres tú.
There you go.
Powerful.
Very powerful, wasn't it? Yeah, it gets me. Yeah.
there's no second guessing that at all.
No. I just tell you.
And that's got to have an impact on whoever watches that.
Yeah. There you go.
Mate, that's powerful. Thank
No
you so
worries.
much, Braggy.
It was a struggle, but I enjoyed it in the end.
Well, and you've come up with 5 completely different songs and genres, and it really did intrigue me. For whatever reason, I was thinking, what about the Philippines? And there's all this protest that sits out there in the world that, maybe in the Western world we don't necessarily see some of the struggles that, some of these other countries may have. And today we've given you all a bit of an insight into what some of those struggles are. And, gutsy.
I think there's a lot more in Africa that we haven't touched on. There'd be heaps of there. And in the Middle East, because there must be. You think about Saudi Arabia and its treatment of it's a very patriarchal society. There must be protests in there. Once again, it's going to be pretty scary doing that. But
yeah, and you can imagine in Afghanistan, for example, at the moment, whatever there was is now under wrap somewhere.
Not even allowed to play music there.
Yeah, well, music's unless it's isn't there some?
There's one type maybe.
Yeah, there's one type that's got to be religious or tuned in. So, could you imagine a world without music? That's something to protest about anyway.
Yes, correct. So,
well, Braggy, you've outdone yourself. Now, our brand new segment. This is the best of our 7-inch, right?
Best of our 7-inch. That's it.
I don't know if that's the name of it.
Well, it is now. Braggy and Curly 7-inch, righto. I can't wait till the girls hear that one.
All right.
That one.
And this one,
Lust.
this is a Brisbane band. This is,
Don't know it.
I think it was 85, Voodoo Lust. Now, you can't get this anywhere. It's not on Spotify. It's not on any of the streaming platforms. This is the guys in the band. There was Gary, the vocalist. Hound Dog was the lead guitarist.
Bring it a bit closer, mate. Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So that's the guys out of Voodoo Lust.
What year are we talking here, Tony?
I reckon it's 85. Let me just open her up and just check. If you want a copy, there's a couple of copies on Discogs. I think you're going to be paying about $20 for it. Once again, it came out through Sun Records. The song's called Shake Shake Hey Yeah, and it is such a groove. And the B-side's No 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 No. So as you can see, really deep lyric, Shake Shake Hey Yeah, and No 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 No. But they're just power. If there's a definition of power pop in any dictionary, this song has got to be part of it. So it is just such an amazing song, and maybe one of these days I'll get to play a clip of that.
You need to get your little YouTube conversion thing that you can from vinyl.
Yeah, it is available on YouTube.
Okay,
so
cool.
I will put the link in the description, just so if anyone was interested. But it's power pop, absolutely. Gary, lead singer, Hound Dog, guitar and vocals.
Hound Dog.
Brad was the bass, and Dean was the drums, and it was produced by a gentleman called Adrian Carroll. So keep shaking, baby. And Voodoo Lust were just one of those bands. They were well before their time. They really could have made it big, but they didn't. But anyway, alrighty, what have you got, Braggy?
Well, I got sentimental, so I went back to my hometown. Well, Townsville up in North Queensland, because I love it up there. Maggie, love that place. And so I picked this one.
All right.
So I don't know if you have that.
I have the exact same copy.
Let me just show you. This guy here was in the first band I was in. That's Andrew Reid. He played drums. But before he played with the Spliffs, he played with a band called Room 16, which was my band.
Yep.
Did a couple of... Well, we did heaps of gigs, really. And this guy here is John Watson, who wrote the songs. John Watson. They
Yeah.
moved to Sydney after they released this in town.
Yeah.
This was recorded in Coranda,
Yeah.
up in Cairns. And the one thing I love the most, I don't know if you can see it, but probably can't. But down the bottom here, Tony, it says, "Right to the Spliffs, care of 3 Piccadilly Street, Hyde Park, Townsville, 4812."
That's it.
So John Watson, who wrote the songs of this, they went to Sydney.
Yeah.
The band broke up. He stayed in Sydney. I think he worked. I hope if he listens to this, I think he worked as a journo for Playboy magazine and then for Rolling
Yeah.
Stone. And now he manages Silverchair and Midnight Oil. So he's Midnight Oil's manager.
Wow.
That guy there. So he's done really well for himself. Townsville boy. There you go.
How cool is that? Their album was really good. They put it. Who'd they sign with in Sydney? They signed with. I'm not sure, like a Mushroom or something.
I don't think.
I'm sure I've got their album
have you?
too.
I
Yeah.
can't find a copy of that. Not for.
I might have to dig into my album collection, but the splits, and I love the B side of that one.
Yes.
And the A side's a classic little song. You know what they'll say, but Thanks to You is such a classic love story angst.
Yeah.
Thanks to You.
And I Know a Girl. You get 3 songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Great value. They were the days. They were so highly thought of. I know when the splits were in Townsville, I was in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And everyone in Brisbane and Sydney were talking about this Townsville band called the Splits, And what a great name.
Great name.
So awesome.
Good band. Good boys.
Awesome. And once again, Braggy, that's a great show. It's I've learnt something new. We've shared a little bit of our passion around our 7 inches.
Well, I think we're done with protest songs now, aren't we? Tony looks on. Can't wait to hear what Sharon says about that.
All right.
Braggy and Curly's 7 inch.
I think that's it. Unless, of course, our audience sends us their protest songs, and we might do an audience mix back in coming into 2022. So
what's on next week,
if
Curly?
we've missed, what's on next week? We've got Rob Stanier, your mate that's been helping you get all that great little music out that's available. Look up Tave Bragg on Spotify and Apple Music.
Rob did the mix on some of them.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to Rob. Rob's got his own music out, so we'll be sharing some of that. The following week, we've got Alison Asarch from Nashville, so really excited about that one. We've reached out to a couple of people and haven't necessarily heard back from them as yet, but we are, the week after Alison, will be something completely different. Cool. Yep. So I won't let the cat out of the bag yet. We haven't signed off that deal yet. So, but it is something that it should be pretty exciting.
Can't wait to go to Nashville.
Oh, mate, that's going to be so good. And it was interesting. I was playing some of Alison's music at a Sunday session I was at my place with the big fella.
Is she going to be a Sunday session playlist?
I think she's a bit of a party girl.
Oh, okay. She's Friday night party.
Yeah. So maybe some of our listeners might want to get an advance warning on some of that. But if you do a look at Alison Asarch on YouTube, you get a bit of a gist. She's definitely country, but it's definitely a little bit of, spring break in there as well would be. I don't know if country and spring break coming together. I don't know if that's a really great description, but it's interesting. So the Christmas show on December 16th starting to take effect. We are going to be on a different platform to what we normally are. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start sharing that link. People will need to register in just with an email address so that they can watch that. That's going to be a great show. We're going to have up to 6 people, I think, playing live on that night. So that's really, really exciting. Don't forget, we've got all of our episodes are available on our website at unfilteredandundiscovered.com. We're now on socials. We've got our YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. Just simply search for Unfiltered and Undiscovered. And during the week, I finally created a TikTok channel. So we're now on TikTok.
Oh, that's cool.
We're all over the place. So Spotify, of
What
course,
happens
you'll
on
find our
TikTok?
playlist.
What do we do there?
Where we do a couple of little videos and
Maybe these little things will be good at work on TikTok.
oh, maybe, yeah, maybe that little 7-inch segment.
Big 7-inch.
Don't forget our Spotify playlist. We've got Unfiltered and Undiscovered. All the undiscovered gems we share goes into that. And we've got the Unfiltered protest songs. So I'll need to dig up some from tonight and add that into that. Our socials, of course, I've spoken to you about. And in the words of the great Rod Stewart, you wear it well, a little old-fashioned, but that's all right. It's from Curly. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Curly. Well done, mate.
And also, once again, just
From Tave.
tune in and we shall see you all again next week. So a little old-fashioned, but that's all right.
Okay.
See you next
Yeah.
week.
Good one.